So what one word would you use to describe analytics? It should come up if you've joined slido.com. You should be able to enter this in any browser or on your phone. All right, we've got some people entering it in. And if you see a word you like, go ahead and add that in too, so it'll make that word bigger. That's what we'd like to see. What words are really big? Knowledge. So still data is our biggest word in decisions. That's a really key thing in there. Overwhelming's gotten bigger. And power. That's great. All right, dreamy. I like that one. All right, well, let's move on. Today, what we're here to talk about is Analytics 101. So I kind of want to go over what is analytics, what are we doing in UTO to make it easier, and really get some feel from you guys what's going on. I am going to have a quiz at the end, nothing too hard, hopefully. So think now of a name you might want to use to make up, because it will ask you to put in a name. It doesn't have to be real. This isn't going to be graded. I mean, it is graded, but more for information than I'm not going to store who said what. So you don't have to use a real name. You can use any name you'd like. So with that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go over what is analytics for this presentation. I'm going to go over the history of kind of how we got here briefly, where we are in the present, where we're going to the future, and then we'll do the quiz and we'll have some questions. Feel free to ask questions as you go, type them into the chat. Or if you really, really need to ask me an important question, feel free to go off mute. But just keeping in mind, we all want to be on mute while we're going. So we'll go ahead and get started. Get to know UTO, just for anyone who's not aware of UTO or not aware of some of the changes we've been going through. This is kind of our vision. We embrace our role as both an enabler and a catalyst for advancing the vision and work of the New American University. We have three pillars that we strive for: innovation, operational excellence, and community experience and delight. As Gonik, since he's come on board, these have really stood true for us, and as we go forward, these are the things that we work towards. And this whole data conference hopefully shows how we are striving for this with our community experience and delight. We really want people to have what they need when they need it. I also just want to remind you, if there's somebody you want to celebrate, if you've ever been to one of these data conferences in the past, we had awards. This year we didn't do that because just with all the logistics. But please, if there's someone in your area or somewhere, just go ahead to links.asu.edu/DC20 celebrations and let us know about those people and what they've been doing to help you. We really want to celebrate all the wonderful people out there doing data every day. So what is analytics? So from Merriam-Webster, they have the method of logical analysis. But I wanted to kind of put my definition. To me, it's answering questions and gaining understanding so that decisions made will be effective, relevant, and accurate. We can all make decisions, but we want to make the right decisions, right? Also, to manage the flow of data such that it can save me time instead of costing me time. Data should make our lives easier, but we saw that some people find data overwhelming. They need help, and that's not our goal, so how can we achieve that? So to give you a brief history, kind of where we are, just so that we can talk about how we came to be where we are and where we still need to go. It used to be that we had kind of a few to the many, and the reason was that way back when, before I started, and probably many of you did, and before some of you may even have been born, data was really meant for real data analysts. In a lot of ways, it was centralized in IT. There were a few around the universities who had, it was a hard skill and it took a lot of time. They used a product called Brio. This product, you really had to understand tables and databases, and it was powerful, but it did take some skill to learn it, and you needed time to learn that skill. All of us can learn any skill if we have time, but this was meant for people who that was their primary job. In around 2007, we launched a new product at the time we called My Reports, which essentially was taking Brio, which became Hyperion, and it became a web-based version that now we could put, data analysts could create content and kind of get it out to more people. It still was a little challenging to create new content, but it enabled people to go run reports quickly, and it still exists today, although not for much longer. But that has proven to be an amazing tool for many people to get the data that they needed. And then we went on to our dashboards, to more people even. Those dashboards were created with a few clicks so that data could be obtained easily for anyone. You didn't have to understand tables or joins or even how to log into the My Reports, but just click a button and you got data. And that reached a lot more people. So that's kind of our history. What I'd like you now to do in that same slido.com is, what tool have you used for data in the past? And if you say Excel, I know for myself, I used to use green bars. So it can be anything you used to use. And if you're young, tell us any tools, anything you've ever used here or at ASU or anywhere else to get data. What's something you have used? Dashboards, that's great. Excel, Tableau, My Reports. If we did a word cloud, My Reports would be really big, right? Qualtrics, Outcome Tracker, Brio, we've got a lot of Brio, that's great. Amazon Workspaces, that's the way that we can get data. Toad, Excel, dashboards, Qualtrics. Google Surveys, that's really powerful. Google actually has a lot of great data. Workday into Excel, PeopleSoft, Airtable, SQL, Airtable, Qualtrics, Forms. This is great. So, as much as we've had sort of those, I love institutional analysis. That's the place to go for Aventry, Navivo. This is great. This is where we all have our ways to get data. And as we in UTO strive to make data available, we don't want to stop you guys from using the tool that works for you. What we want to make sure is that if you have a favorite tool, it's easy to use with the data as well. So this is all great information. We can see we have a varied background. A lot of people are using the institutional tools, which is great. So back on October 31st, 2014, so I started here in 2012, and one of the things I was told as I started was that My Reports had to go away because Oracle had bought the product Hyperion and had said, we're not going to support it anymore. You guys need to move somewhere else. They wanted us to move to a product they owned called OBIEE, but that's a very expensive product. So we worked really hard and we made a decision, and we actually moved a lot of things to at the time we used Microsoft SharePoint environment. So on October 31st, 2014, we launched our very first analytics.asu.edu. We started with financial aid administrative sites for certain key reports. And the whole goal of this was to bring together My Reports and the dashboards together into one place. The vision, we created a vision where data could be published and accessible by anyone in the university, all in one place. You wouldn't have to know to go to My Reports or dashboards. In December of 2018, we then decided to launch what we called Analytics 3.0, moving from SharePoint to Drupal. Over the years, we introduced new tools aside from the Microsoft tools. We introduced Tableau, our reporting server, which you might know as Report Builder, Alteryx, user databases, and Power Query in OneDrive. So all those tools have come to be, all with the idea to make data easier. The hardest part for us in that is how do we make more tools available without having too many tools, because there's a fine balance, we know, between enough tools to do the job, but too many to where it's overwhelming. So I now have another question. When you go to get a report, whatever format, whatever process, whether it be Excel or anywhere where you look at data, is it true or false that you always want to know the same thing every day and it never changes? This is a couple people. But you can see overwhelmingly, hopefully you guys are all out there answering truthfully, that this kind of isn't the world we live in anymore, where everybody wants to know the same thing every day. It used to be back in the day, we might have an annual report we put out every year, or we would spend a lot of time on one report and people might go to it every day. But nowadays, we don't want to know the same thing every day. We're innovative. We're the most innovative university in the country. We don't live in the future all the time. I mean, we live in every day is a new day, and we need to know something different. We don't know what questions are being asked. And so we're trying to really build things around that. So as you can see, most of us don't want to do that. So a second question to that, when you use a report or a dashboard, which of the following three do you most often do? Do you look at the numbers and move on? Do you download the data? Or do you perform some action based on the data? So this, I think, is really interesting, because if we think about a typical maybe dashboard with beautiful charts and graphs, to me, that is meant really for those people who are just going to look at the numbers and move on. But as we can see in our small sample size here today, that's not what most people do. Most people download the data. And we can see 67% of us are downloading that data to do your own analysis. So it asks the question, is doing this beautiful pixel perfect dashboard the right answer in most cases? And I think we can see here, it certainly is for 11% of people who want to come in, see a number, and move on. But most of us are going to be doing something with that data, and we're going to be downloading that data. And performing that action based on the data could just be, now I'm going to go call somebody and yell because their numbers are too low, or I'm going to be so excited because now our numbers are high. I'm sure right now we're all, anxiously watching our enrollment numbers as we go to make sure that students are coming back. So I think we can see here, like I said, that downloading that data is really the most important thing. So a lot of what the decisions we've made and the tools we've chosen are to help people be able to do that easier. All right. So that's kind of the history and some of the things that we're seeing here in our group as to why we made some decisions. So here's where we are today. This is our new analytics. I don't know why this message with the analytics reporting server is down right in the middle. Can't seem to get rid of that on my screen, but it is not down, so that's good. But this is a way to show you we do post messages here. But this is where our portal at analytics.asu.edu is, and where we like everyone to go to get to their content. This, again, brings together data in a way that is informative and interactive. It's a centralized location for data using any of the following. The Tableau does those pixel perfect charts. It does those great graphs, but it's still interactive. You can keep only a certain part. You can export the data. So it does give us that interactivity. The reporting server lets us put in lots of parameters to get just what we want. Alteryx is a great tool to be able to join data from all over the place into one central place. And then using user databases, we can store that data in a new table that's just for us exactly how we want it. We also know, though, that not everyone has the time or the skills to use all these tools. We also have Power Query, which is a part of Excel, and that can be stored in OneDrive, which is all of this is accessible through the analytics portal. And the audience is meant for all users. Sometimes people think the portal is meant for only those analysts, but we'll kind of go into why that maybe doesn't fit right now, but we'll go over that intent. One thing I want to point out is you go to analytics.asc.edu. The first place I suggest you go to is Explore. There's a button there you see, where if you click on Explore, you can now search for any kind of report that you might want. So that should always be the first place you go when you get to analytics. What am I looking for? But what I want to point out to you is that this portal is a portal to the data at ASU. The data is not owned by UTO. It is owned by all of us. Each of us owns this data. And as a result, different people in different areas, they enter this data in different ways, which can make it difficult sometimes to find things. We continue to work on that, but this is the place to go to find anything. You'll see that you have some buttons here that say reports, and that would be, if you click on it, it would show you all the actual reports, whether they're in Report Builder, whether they're in a CSV file, whatever they may be in, they're all considered a report. And then we have groups, and groups is a way to share data. We have created a group for every sharing of data so that if you are in one department and you move to another, we can automatically remove your access so that you can request it again if need be, so that we don't leave people orphaned out there getting access to one or two reports here or there. But who creates all that content? So this is a really important slide here. First of all, we currently have 250 groups in analytics. Some of them are in the same area. For example, Ed Plus has 13 different groups, and those are all based on permissions. But for the most part, that's 250 areas around the university that are all publishing that data. So what is a group? A group is a way to share that report with a group of people, like I said, so that you can, because they all have that same level of access. So if you see a report that you want, the most important thing is to find out what group it's in, because once you get access to that group, you'll get access to everything in that group. So you wouldn't just get access to one report, you get access to all the reports that they've shared. All reports, dashboards, and data sets must be part of a group for anyone to get access to them. And then each group has two subgroups, power users and viewers. The power users are the people that create and publish the content to that group, and then the viewers are those that consume or use the content for those groups. So of those 250 groups, we actually have 549 power users. And what I wanted to show you, this chart over on the right, this very rudimentary little Excel table, is the #1 business title of our power users. These are all the business titles of our power users. And the #1 title is director. And I think that that tells us a lot. And then if you have to go down to the 4th title before you see a business analyst. Our directors, executive directors, and assistant directors, they're the ones out there not just consuming data, but they are a power user. Now, some of those might be, I just made you a power user so you can see everything. But it just goes to show how data has changed, that it's everyone everywhere who's creating content. This isn't just a couple of data analysts or people doing this. This is everyone at every level in the organization needing to get in and get to data easily. There's a question. Okay, so this kind of shows us, so we have a lot of people that are out there creating content. So this is great. So then you might ask yourself, well, what does UTO do? If all these 549 people are out there creating the content, what do we need you guys for? Hopefully a lot. So I want to kind of go over our role, especially on our data success team, which is part of the analytics group under Mike Sharkey, as hopefully you saw yesterday when he kind of showed you a little bit about us. So in our group, we create and we maintain the portal. So every piece you see on the portal is something we developed. We have 2 developers who did that. We then have to update it and fix any bugs that we may not have anticipated. Because if everybody would use it exactly as we told them to, it'd be great. But as we know, everyone's different, and we didn't always anticipate everything. We also manage the infrastructure for granting access to all 250 groups. We have to make sure that there's a form that you can fill out where you can request access. We do our best to see if there's been a request out there for a long time that someone hasn't gotten approvals, but we're busy, as you'll see. But we manage that infrastructure for making sure that everyone can do that. We monitor and maintain the following servers. All the products that we saw, we have a Tableau server, with a partnership with the University of Arizona that they actually maintain the server itself, which is great. It frees up our resources, but then it's a problem because they sometimes put restrictions that we don't always like. But they are the ones who do that for us. We have to constantly manage that relationship and make sure that the server is working as expected. We also have an Alteryx server, and this server allows people to run workflows that they create in the Alteryx Designer so that it can be scheduled on a scheduled basis. We recently had to upgrade that server because there were so many jobs running all the time. We also have a reporting server, and that's what runs our Power BI or in our report builder. And those reports allow someone to go in and put in some parameters and get some data back and maybe export. That all has to run on this server, several servers, in fact. We also maintain, now OneDrive is a cloud-based tool. It's also known as SharePoint Online. Not much we have to actually physically do, but we have to make sure every group is created in there and that it has the right permissions and that files are getting stored. And then the portal is itself, all in Drupal. Drupal's coming out with a new version. We have to make sure we're ready for that, all the fun that goes with that. We still, until we can get rid of it, have to maintain My Reports. So that's a server we have to make sure. We just moved it from being hosted in Atlanta, Georgia to the cloud. That took a lot of time. If any of you know Bob Sukron, that took a lot of his time to make sure everything was tested and it was working. And then the dashboards, Corda dashboards. That's a product that's been literally dead since 2014, I think. No, 2011, I'm sorry, where they actually have a tombstone at their company. It's kind of scary to be running on a product that has a tombstone. But that's the product we also maintain if there's problems there. So those are all servers we have to make sure that they're running. We then also have to monitor and maintain our BI desktops. That is a remote application you can go to where you can see all the applications that you need. We have over 500 BI desktops out there. So if something's not working on one, chances are it's not working on all, and we have to make sure that they all work. If somebody wants something new, we have to make sure that it's ready, that it can be installed, that it won't break other things. And so that's always fun, and data sources and all of that. We also monitor and maintain licenses for Tableau Desktop, Alteryx Designer, and Toad DataPoint, which very few people have anymore. The Tableau Desktop, we do require people to go out and buy that license themselves. But in order to install the Tableau Desktop on the BI desktop, we have to make sure and validate that you have a license, or the entire university could be at risk. Also, Alteryx Designer, people can go out and request, and we have to make sure that they have the proper license. We also monitor and maintain the infrastructure for data access. So when you go out to request access to any of the reporting data warehouses or the databases out there, we are the ones that set all that up so that you can go in and request that, and making sure that the right ones are available and that they work as expected. We write up the documentation and conduct training for all of the above, not as well as we should, and we continue to work on that. One of the things we do that's also on here is this data conference. We also do consultation hours. So anyone can come at any time. We schedule that with someone, and they can ask for one-on-one help, and we'll walk you through. That takes our time too. With the annual data conference, which takes up a good amount of time to make sure we've got stuff to present here. We monitor and maintain Slack channels so that we can constantly be reading and helping people if they need to help with that. We communicate the changes and updates to the data community of things that are happening. And we monitor and answer all ServiceNow and Jira requests. So I don't mean to sit here and type it on like, whoa, is us, we're doing so much, but maybe to give a glimpse of why sometimes things that we know we could do better, we'd have so much on our plate. And to top all this off, we do all of this with 6 people, which is a lot with a few. So just as I mentioned, Mike Sharkey has the following areas: data success, that's the team that I'm on, and we do all that I just showed you. We also have data solutions, and that's the team that will build dashboards for key things that need to be built. We have a data innovations team, which is always coming up with new and exciting things. Data structures, that's where our data warehouse team is. Data governance, who manages Calibra, and also data architecture that Josh Johnson has recently joined. I'll stop. Were there any questions to know? Okay. Oh, you're on mute.
What is the Slack channel for immediate assistance?
So I have a slide for that, but real quick, if you go to ask_analytics, that will get you anything you need. But I will show that in just a second. So I also want to show you, we have what are called data sources. This is just simply a place to get data. We have our legacy data warehouse. You might know it as ASCP, Prod, or Oracle, or PeopleSoft. We have our enterprise data warehouse. That's our new one, and that's in the cloud. It's called Redshift. We have an operational data store, and that's meant to be for data that's like operational and real time and is new, and we're still working on building that. We have our analytics user databases, AUDB, where you can create your own data. We also have a data lake we're building out in the cloud, which is a great place to store files. We have our production data sources, which is HR and CS, which is Campus Solutions and HR, which you can get access to live real-time data, although we don't encourage that because the more people accessing that can cause production issues. We have server at ASU that many different departments use. We have Google Sheets, we have files, and we have departmental databases. All of those that we also maintain, we don't maintain them, but we make sure that access to them is easy. And a data source, just so you know, is simply a place where the data is located. Each of those data sources are a mixture of data from all over the university with its own purpose and design. If you go to the legacy data warehouse, you'll not only find Oracle and PeopleSoft, but you'll find iSearch, and you'll find eAdvisor, and you'll find all kinds of different applications in there as well. And so a data source is really just that place where you go to get the data. But once you get there, how do you know what's there? And this is an area we've been working on for a while, and we know we need to continue to work hard at this. And so we're working on a data dictionary or a glossary or a catalog. One of the challenges in this is what's the difference between a data artifact and a business term? If I say term, there might be 100 fields in different tables that have term, but how do I know which term is which? And how do I know how people use those terms? If there's a cohort term or an S term, what does that mean, and how would I use that? So there's glossary terms and business terms that we're working on defining. And part of that is there's so much to define out there and so many things. How do we do that with the resources we have? We've bought a product called Calibra, which is a tool to do that. We have a certain amount of licenses. So licensing is a factor in the entry of that data. Who best to describe those business terms? Should those of us in UTO describe those business terms? I'm not sure we'd want that. In many cases, we may not even know. We could tell you where to find the table, but we don't always know what it means. And we really need people's help. And so licensing becomes a challenge in that we want as many people to help us as possible, but how do they best help us to make sure that we can get that in there? And who are those needed resources? So, and speaking of resources, how many reports or dashboards or data sets or one-off things that are done quickly for an emergency? As you said earlier, we saw most people, you don't want to know the same thing every day. You have different things you want to know each day. You just need to know it today to answer a question someone asked you, and then you'll never need it again. So do those get documented? Probably not, because it's a one-off thing, but it's now out there, it's someone else, and someone may find it, but they don't know what it was for. So how do we have this balance of documenting what we create, but being able to move and be agile? And do we have the time to spend documenting? Because certainly the request for everyone out there creating data never stopped. So how do we make that a priority? Is it a priority? And who should document? If someone's out creating a report, we need the person who created it. I say all the time, if I don't document my own work, I go back later and I don't know why I did something. It seemed to make sense at the time. So we really encourage everyone to document as they go, but we also know, I myself, you build things fast, you don't always do that. Here's the Slack channels I talked about. We have tried to make this as easy as possible. We've really struggled between having enough channels that there's not noise for everyone, but not so many channels it's overwhelming and just you have channel fatigue. As I mentioned earlier, the first channel you'd want to go to is ask_analytics. That's the channel, ask us anything, ask us anything about anything. It doesn't matter if you need help, that's the place to start. Analytics announcements, the goal there is that we can send out messages. Lately, we've been using it more and more. If the data warehouse isn't done loading, we let you know which tables. That's where we'll post things that are new and coming and happening. anyone can post. If you create a new report or you create a new data set and you want the whole community to know about it, that's a great place to go in there and post that, so everyone can know that this great new report exists. We do know there are people out there using Alteryx, NDI Desktop, and Calibra, and dbeaver, and Tableau. So we try to have specific channels where you can ask specific questions. And it's not just our team answering the questions, it's everyone. So that the people, there may be people out there who have done something we haven't had a chance to do, and we want their input there. And then we have a new channel we recently created, actually, Josh Johnson did, called Where's That Data? And the goal there is to go out and find, where's that data? Where would I find it? Can someone help me? And there's lots of discussions out there. Hey, which table should I use for this? So if you're having trouble finding that data, whether it be a report or a table, that's the place to go ask that question. Okay, so what I want to do now, take a little bit of time. We saw overwhelming and we saw help. So I'd like you to take just a few minutes to write down what is the hardest thing about finding data at ASU. And we will take this data and we'll talk it through. Hopefully, we're already planning to address anything you might mention. But what is hard? Like, why do you think too many options? We hear that a lot. And as I said, we really struggle, right? How do we, so many similar reports. That's such a challenge because somebody just wants it filtered different. Where do we go? Hopefully you've learned a little bit about that today. Not sure which tool to use. Analytics consultation is a great place to start. This is great. So many disparate systems, lack of historical data. Uncertain what tool shows what data. Things are named differently and similar. Yeah, what is the difference between an S term and term? How do I get to the place holding my data? My report's going away. That creates a lot of angst and nerves for all of us. We know that. Not complete, not able to manipulate the report. Permissions and access, we know that. We're really trying to work on that. What's available? Technology changes. I wish technology would stay the same, right? It keeps changing. I always say, though, if you know data and you know where to go, you can use any tool, because that's the hardest part. As we've seen, so many people don't know what's available or where it is. And if you know that, hopefully the tools are just getting easier and easier to use. But we know that it still takes time. We don't have validation of data not clear, or the source of the data. Too many options. Yeah, so we can see. So this is so great to know all these things, because, again, we know that there are so many challenges, and we've been really working hard, and hopefully we've seen some improvements you guys have, but we know there's still so much to do to keep moving forward. So what I want to say is, we know all the things that are hard, and we do want to move forward. We've hired some new people, our team has grown, we've gotten some new funding, and we want to make sure that you guys are really helping us. So one good start, we'll go ahead and close that, is to go to our idea hackathon on Thursday. It is a 2-hour session, not quite 2 hours, but it's 110 minutes. It's a great place to go and talk to other people who are having these same options or same challenges, and talk through how we could work together and ideas you might have on how to improve that. That's really going to take, especially Elizabeth Riley, one of our new directors. She's very excited to learn what everyone wants to do. So I really encourage you to go there. I have a session that's competing, but I would say mine will be recorded. This one will not, because it is really more interactive and people talking. So go to that session if you have ideas. Go to that session to talk through with people how maybe you can do it. And then come back and watch my recording if you want to on how to DIY data empowerment, which is a good session, I will say. But please come help us. We want to slay these monsters. We don't want to keep having these monsters out there fighting us. We want everyone to help us, and we really, really, truly want to hear what you have to say. So, future. there's where we are in the present. Does somebody have a question?
It was a thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so the future. So from now to June 2021, we are going to retire my reports. And I know we've been saying that for a really long time. And I know people laugh when we say it. And I fully accept responsibility for that. But we have to retire it because there are security risks with it. Oracle no longer supports the product. At any time, if something major were to happen, we have no help to fix this. It's one more server we have to manage and maintain. That means there's not resources to spend more time on training and better documentation. So that really has to be retired. We're truly going to do everything we can to make it as easy as possible. And we do believe deep down that when it's gone, you guys are going to have better solutions in place. We just want to work with you. We also need to retire the Corda dashboards. Like I said, they have a tombstone in their building that has been there since 2011. That's one more server to maintain, one more potential security risk. We also are going to be upgrading the Alteryx server. Again, we just upgraded. If you do use Alteryx, hopefully you noticed since Friday things are running much faster. Things are now going to run on time. We have had a problem with that. It's been such high demand. So we're going to also be upgrading to the newest version over that next 6 months. We also are coming up with a new product per se called Dash, and this is going to be a place where you can go get data sets. This is going to be key to the retiring of My Reports. If you currently go into My Reports and you get a class schedule query and you download it into Excel, we want to make that available to you so you don't have to go get a VI desktop and learn all these complicated tools. We want to make that data set available to you in a way that you can just open an Excel file, click refresh, and you'll have your data every day, the fields you want in the way that you want. So Dash is going to be key to that. We also have a session, I believe, on Thursday that we'll talk a little more about the retirement of My Reports, as well as Dash and what that's going to be. We also are moving, we talked about those different data sources and where they are. And we're going to be moving from Oracle to Redshift. Oracle is a very expensive product. It also is not well suited for analytic type behavior, but Redshift is. And so we're going to be moving all that data to Redshift. So that's going to take some work. So if we can time this correctly, when you move off of My Reports and you move to the Redshift, I think that's going to be great. And you're going to be on new technology. It's going to be faster and more efficient. And then we're also going to be upgrading the Tableau server so that we can run more extracts at one time, because we know sometimes those fail as well. Were there some questions? Don't know. Comments? No. Can people still hear me?
Yes, there was a question about where folks can get more information about Dash.
So we're going to do, that's going to be, thank you, Elizabeth. That is going to be a session. We'll be talking more about it. And it still needs just a little bit more work. And then we're really going to go on a road show. We're going to really be letting people know all about it. We have started sending out communication about My Reports. If you haven't gotten any, that's okay, because what that means is we're starting with the people who've created most of the content, so that for those of you who use their content, that new content is actually ready for you. So no news is good news. So we're working on that, and we're going to let you know all about Dash and how to use it. Were there other questions?
Yes, sorry, I blinked out for a minute. I don't know what happened, but
That's okay.
I am a My Reports user. Do you recommend Dash or Redshift?
I think that Dash is a better place. It depends on how you use My Reports. If you simply go into My Reports and you click process and you get data and you export it to Excel, then Dash is going to be a better way for you. If you're someone who goes into My Reports and you build your own queries and you're adding new tables and you're doing all that, then Alteryx or the Redshift and all of that is going to be a better tool for you. So if you're not sure, you can always request an analytics consultation hour, and we'll sit down with you, hear what you do, and recommend the right tool for you. And you can do all of that If you go to analytics.asc.edu, you can then, there's a support and it says request consultation hour. Okay, and I want to real quick, because then we are actually running out of time. It's so exciting. I usually go too fast. Just beyond July 21st, we're going to continue to improve Alteryx, continue to improve Tableau. We definitely want to make improvements to our portal. Dash will get really done and implemented. We want to do better training and documentation and BI 360 so everyone can know what their reports are doing. So I want to have time for more questions too at the end. So really quick, we're going to do a quiz. So right now it's going to ask you to put in your name. Again, make the name. It doesn't have to be real. There's just 5 questions. So go ahead and put whatever name you want to join the quiz. Where'd all the names go? All right, maybe they're not showing them. All right, we're going to start with the first question. So at the very beginning, I talked about what are the 3 pillars of UTO. You have 30 seconds. Operational excellence, retirement of tools, complexity. Efficiency, being agile, customer service. Operational excellence, customer delight, innovation. Communication, friendliness, kindness. Should be. We should all focus on that. All right, I think it went. All right, everybody picked that, and yay, you got it right. So operational excellence, customer delight, and innovation. Those are our pillars that we're here for. When did the analytics.asu.edu first launch? This was said earlier on. Was it December 28th, 2018, October 31st, 2014, March 1st, 2007, or June 28th, 2019? All right. All right, 58% got it right. Awesome. It was October 31st, 2014. We got to have an annual party in 2015. We need to get back to that. It was fun. All right. How many groups are there in the analytics portal? 350, 150, 250, 500? In the interest of time, I think, well, I'll give people 30 seconds. All right. 66% of you said 250, and you were right. Yes, there are 250 groups. What is the best way to find a report or data? The Ask Analytics channel in Slack? Where's that data channel in Slack? Explore in the analytics portal, or all of the above? All right. So 86% of you said all of the above, and yes, all of those are great places to go to find a report or data. All right, I think this is the last one. So which of the following is not a data source? Legacy Data Warehouse, Data Lake, Google Sheets, or PeopleSoft? This one might be a little tricky. All right, everybody said Google Sheets. You'd be surprised though, because actually Google Sheets can be a great data source. In Alteryx, there's great ways you can connect to Google Sheets. And at the presentation on Thursday, I'm going to show you how you can connect Excel to Google Sheets as well. PeopleSoft, and the reason it's not a data source, while it does have data in it, and the transactional system, that could be why people picked it, but it's meant to be, this is a type of data and the kind of data that's on the legacy data warehouse. So that was why that one was picked. So congratulations. You can see all the different people. Good job to Hi, Lynn, Al, Cool Bean, and Cookie, the top 5 people. That's awesome. Congratulations for finishing. What I want to let you know is if you go to this link in this presentation, it's out, I think, on the main site as well. You can go get a badge for data finding for Lindell, the guidon of confusion, because we don't want to be confused. And hopefully this session helped you be just a little bit less confused. Also, don't forget to celebrate. And then we have a few more minutes for questions. And if you'd like to unmute, that's okay too. We still have 2 more minutes. Like I said, if any questions of anything I didn't cover, where is the legacy data warehouse located? That is in Oracle. It's ASUPM Prod. We have a data source where you can, we have documentation out on ServiceNow. If you go to the analytics.asu.edu, the red button in the middle will tell you where there's some articles on how to connect to it. Thank you. I know for myself, if I don't have participation, I tend to get distracted by Slack or something else. So thank you all for coming. Like I said, I hope that we helped get rid of some confusion. This will be recorded out there. If there's anybody who wants to share this with someone else who wasn't able to attend, or if there's a part you missed or something, please feel free to go out and watch it. So thank you so much. And I think we're done for today. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning. Don't forget the celebrations and the ASU Data Communities Slack channel. Every hour we post any celebrations that have gotten put in. And that all happens through Alteryx. We'd love to show you how that happens, but it'll all happen automatically. So go out and put out those appreciations, because we know so many of you are doing such a great job. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kristin.
Thank you, Donnell, especially. I appreciate your support.
Everyone have a great day, and we're going to end the meeting now.